Okay, I have a very funny story to tell you. All right. So we were traveling to Denver, and we were, you get off the plane, you land, you get your bags, and then you get on your phone and you go to your rideshare app. And the idea is that you would move to the pickup location for your car, right? So we did that. And the pickup location was aisle five, right? So we roll out a baggage claim, we walk past aisle one, aisle two, aisle three, aisle four, and we get to aisle five. We get to aisle five, and it says zone one. We look around, there is no zone one. So we stand there kind of confused, right? Because we're at aisle five, there is no zone one. So people are getting in their cars, and we see the car, they tell you kind of make and model the car you're looking for, right? So the car goes by, and we're like, what the heck? We're standing right here, right? And so the car comes back around. And by this time, we're still standing there and we are looking down the aisle. We're at this aisle five, and we look down and you can see A, B, C, D, you get where I'm going? E, F, G, and so on. And so when she's here now, we're flagging her down, and she's like, no, I have to go down there. And we're like, but we're right here. So anyway, she's gracious enough to stop, and we let her know we are in fact her passengers. And she says to us, to our magnificent surprise, I was going to zone I. This is the moment where obviously you don't feel incredibly smart because the one was an I. Now, that by itself is a story, but let me tell you how this really impacted me, which is why I really want to tell the story, because I think it has so much implication for how you and I navigate our life, and really, quite frankly, how we misinterpret the events and the situations. And because we misinterpret them, we don't move in the direction we should for lots of reasons. So let's start with, to me, point number one, and that is that our perspective is larger than the context of the situation. What I mean by that is, like you cannot move beyond your paradigm. So if we in fact did not believe that said I and it was a one, there was no place for us to move to, because our paradigm was the thing we were responding to. Think about this. If you're trying to navigate toward your destiny, toward the start of a business, you're trying to navigate toward a life's purpose, a goal, or anything like that, like how we move through life has so much to do with how we interpret world events, how we interpret what's going on around us. And so guess what? We misinterpreted like this I for a one. And because of that, we stood still. And I'm just going to let you take that one in, because how many times are we misinterpreting life events, and as a result, we are going nowhere? It's exactly what happened. The other thing I want us to understand is how big and how prevalent and how prevailing our point of view is. Now, you would think that that's a strength. And in some cases, it actually is. But in this case, our paradigm was so unyielding. Think about that. Like, sometimes we're so sure we're right that not only does it incapacitate us, but we're so sure we're right, we're going nowhere. I'm gonna let you take that one in. Like, think about that. Like how unyielding we are to consider it another way, which is why innocent curiosity, exploration, adaptability are critical skills as we move through life to really make it towards the things we envision for ourselves. So number one, we had a pretty prevalent mindset. We were so stuck on the fact that had to be a one and it could not be an I, that we could not see it any other way. So let me pause here and give you this nugget of truth. It is very difficult to outperform your paradigm. Think about that. Like, it had nothing to do with what was outside of us, because we couldn't even take in those events because we were so governed by our own mindset. We were so governed by our own perspective that we could not see that thing as anything else except a one. So because our performance is in response to our perspective and it's in response to our paradigm, you can now see the problem if our perspective is off. if our paradigm is stuck in some other time, some other situation, some old experience, it really can keep us stuck. Think about this. Do you know how the overanalyzing of a situation can create paralysis? Like, we just overanalyze it. We're standing there, we overanalyze it. Instead of just looking up and saying, man, potentially these are alphabet letters, right? So surely maybe what we're looking at isn't a one at all. Maybe it's in fact an I. I mean, think of it this way. Think of it this way. I'm going to say it this way, and I hope it hits your ego the way it hit ours. Do you know how many things had to be wrong for us to be right? Think about that. Like, really, let that soak in. Do you know they would have had to masterfully mess up for us to be right and them to be wrong? Do you know how big this is? You know how many times we're so sure we're right, and the way we see it is right, and the way it happened is right, and the way we remember it is right, and the way we experienced it is right. And what if we are wrong? And we are so sure we are right that we have stopped moving. We are now standing still. We are now making no progress. We're not developing. We're not maturing. We are standing still. I want us to really think about this. You know, what would have to be wrong? How many dynamics would have to be wrong for us to be right? You know, so as I really reflect on this story, because so much of leadership, people always want to lead because they want to tell people what to do. That's what I hear all the time. I can't wait till it's my turn to lead so I can tell people what to do. Long before leadership becomes about other people, leadership is about the ability to self-manage. It's about the ability to become self-aware. It's about the ability to move from self-awareness, you know, really to the ability to manage myself effectively and ultimately to master myself for your benefit. That's the key, right? To master myself for your benefit. But the news flash is that if our paradigms are so unyielding, if we are overanalyzing where we are, if we are misinterpreting life events, if our paradigm is so unyielding that we cannot grow, we cannot learn, we cannot take in new information, beloved, it doesn't matter how gifted you are. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter if you have the world's best new product for consumer. None of that matters, because you're at the mercy of your own paradigm. You're at the mercy of your own perspective. You're at the mercy. Your performance is at the mercy of what you think and feel. So for me, this is a great story, because for me, it reminds me how easy it is to get stuck, right? It's so easy to get stuck. It's so easy to mismanage ourselves. It's so easy to become maybe misaligned, you know, all because of the way we see things. And because we were so sure it was an I, we couldn't see anything else, you know? I often use the story of a yellow cab theory just to say, if I said to you, I'm going to come to your house and pick you up, and I'm going to come and get you in a yellow cab, the likelihood of you seeing me in anything else would be really small. Why? Because the expectation is that I would be in a yellow cab, right? So how many times do things not make our radar because of our own expectation? How many times do things never come across the lens, right? Because we're not anticipating them, because we're only looking for what we're expecting. We're only looking for what we believe to be true. And this brings me maybe to my final point in the story, is right and true are two very different things. You know, so we can be right and it still not be truth. You know, and for me, sometimes our truth isn't a universal truth. You know, it's like it can be raining in Dallas and sunny in Atlanta, right? So our truth isn't always a universal truth. And I just want to say that because sometimes we're so stuck on our truth, you know, what is right, or at least what we believe to be right, that we miss opportunities to continue to learn, to grow, to mature, to develop. because once again, we believe we have the corner on the market of truth. Truth is relative, and I really do mean that. Sometimes what gives life meaning is the meaning we ascribe to it, right? Because life is a subjective experience by far. So that means that the meaning I give it is the meaning that it got assigned, right? So how I experience life has a lot to do with how I experience life, not really life itself. So I want you to consider that when we're navigating toward any destination, toward any destiny, toward any goal, toward any idea of purpose or any other desired achievement, we have to remember that there is a larger context of truth. And sometimes we have a small window of our truth. So I would just encourage you to expand that, to become innocent and yet curious, because I think that's the key. I think not only is self-awareness a number one leadership skill, but I actually think it is the real key to staying nimble, adaptable, but it's also the key to continuing to grow and develop and become the best version of ourselves, is when you and I can remain innocent and curious. Oh gosh, thank goodness the woman was yielded, right? That she could stop, because we were frozen in our tracks by a prevalent mindset that could not be anything other than a one. And I know a one and an I look alike, but the fact that we didn't consider it, even after looking at all of the alphabet letters down the aisle, at the end of the day, I think these things are really common. I think they're meant and they're hid and they're embedded in our world as teaching opportunities to say, careful, 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 So anyway, what I hope you get from the moral of the story might be different for you than it was for me, but I will maybe close my story with, number one, we need people, right? Because man, if she hadn't stopped for us, we probably would have been trying to locate another ride, right? So I would say to you, we cannot live our lives in isolation. We have to live our lives in community with other people who can see what we cannot see, right? Who can help us navigate to the desired location, the desired destination. So I'll just say how important it is that people can see what we can't see. She knew it was an I, so she helped us rotate our paradigm. And so we were like, oh, right? So just remind you that nobody gets to the destination alone. Nobody gets to any destination, goal achievement on their own. Leadership is not an independent enterprise. It is collective capacity to achieve the desired goal. So anyway, hope you got something out of my story today. I certainly did, and I am far more inquisitive. I am far more willing to explore, and certainly willing to look at things through an innocent lens, and hope that I can keep my paradigm expanding and growing every day. So anyway, tune back in. I might have more to the story, but I hope you enjoyed the story. Have a great day.